Finished training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
It's back, finally. Round one of the URC is done and dusted, and there's plenty to talk about, whether it be Leinster's nilling at the hands of the Stormers or the strong start to life for Munster under new coach Clayton McMillan. And of course, we'll be talking about what the Bulls are now looking like under new leadership. All that and more in this week's episode. Let's get started.
You're listening to United Rugby Rewind.
I am joined by the full crew this week, Mohammed, Adam, and Ben. Good evening, gents.
Good evening.
Okay, as always, we tend to speak about every single game in the URC. So if you're here for a specific team, check out the timestamps going along the bottom. But we've no time to spare. And Mohammed, the biggest result of the weekend, without a doubt, was the Stormers humbling 35-0 of Leinster. My gosh, none of us saw this coming. All of the chat was about how this was the strongest Leinster team that they'd sent down to South Africa, and how that Stormers team sheet, let's be honest, didn't look like much. I mean, let's pull up the lineups now. I'll be honest, the Andre Hugo Venter I've heard of, Neethling Fashir I've heard of, Ben Jason Dixon, even Roos, but then getting into the back line, I know of Zas. It's not an all-star Stormers team. So this has got to be a massive upset, surely.
I think going into the game, I was picking Leinster slightly to win. It was every result this first round actually went the way I thought it would, except this one, because this one was a pick 'em for me. It was like a coin toss. It started very helter-skelter for both teams, and I thought maybe Leinster's superior structures, because I've been watching Leinster rotate their teams for years now and then still play relatively coherently. Stormers might not have lost as many players to the Springbok broader squad as some of the other teams, but they really showed their sort of maturity. What's also interesting is that you can see who's been exposed to higher levels of rugby and test level, because Evan Roos had a really good game, even outside of the fact that he scored 2 tries. Angra has impressed me as sort of a veteran, somebody who came from the Sharks system. And the beginning of the match, in the first scrum, Slimani sort of used the dark arts system of scrumming, and then got a penalty out of Vernon Matongo. But the rest of the game, the Stormers actually fronted up really well in the scrum. They actually did have a solid bench in terms of like forwards and stuff. Interestingly enough, they went with very young props when they do have some other veteran props. The one guy whose name escapes me, but he came over from Melbourne Rebels more recently. So the African guy who's played quite a bit of Super Rugby over there. So, but instead they went with Oliver Reed and Zachary Porthwaite. Zachary, formerly under-20 captain. So, and both these guys, Oliver Reed and Porthwaite, Porthin, I should say, struggled quite a bit in the Currie Cup in terms of scrummaging, but they actually held their own in this game when they eventually came on. So yeah, I mean, if you got Ruben van Heerden on the bench, I guess because I might support the Sharks, but keep quite a close eye on the Stormers. I know like the whole team sheet quite well. Interestingly enough, also that Devil Devanacher actually announced that he was retiring at the end of last season, but he's still on the bench for the Stormers, and he did coach in the Currie Cup. So, I mean, the fact that they went with Angra and Devil Devanacher when they have like 3 really good young scrum halves is also an interesting aspect to it. But yeah, toward the end of the game, I realized, okay, the Stormers are going to win, and I was like, oh, could we give Leinster a nil, or at least maybe deny them any points in this game, not even a losing bonus point for 4 tries or within 7, that type of thing. And then the Stormers proceeded to give away they were on the Leinster 22 attacking, and then they proceeded to give away 4 penalties in a row, which allowed Leinster to then march up the other side of the field. So I was concerned there that Leinster might get, but I'm glad at the end of the game I was really stoked that the Stormers did what they did. It wasn't a super well attended game, although it's a big stadium, so I'm going to do some research into actually how
Looked
many
all
people were
right. It
there.
looked all right. I was trying to check
Yeah.
earlier, but like you say, it's a 50,000 seater stadium, and to be fair, I would guess that it was the best attended game of the weekend.
Yeah.
When was the last time Leinster were nilled?
2008 Munster. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's been
Wow.
a while for Leinster, and like that sort of shock has came to them as well.
Oh.
But you know what? Leinster, that type of team, that a shock like that is going to set them up for the season, I think, in terms of like, we won't do this again. I think Prendergast looked very shaky as well.
Yeah, I agree. That was going to be my
They
point.
kept
Yeah,
trying
you're
to
right,
get him nominated for player of the match. They
I
kept
know.
putting his face up on the screen, like, vote for your player of the match. And I was like, not
How
him.
can you vote for someone that's done nothing? Yeah.
He didn't do much. I think with Leinster in terms of fly halves at the minute, he's probably facing a lot of pressure because Harry Byrne's back. I've noticed on the URC website as well that they use the picture of Rossburn as his as his player picture. They're using a player of Rossburn now of Gloucester fame, but yeah, I think he's feeling a bit of the pressure because Casper Gabriel's coming up as well. You know, there's that conveyor belt that Leinster always have, of players.
What is this that I have clicked on here?
It's the new Instagram video layout. You can do it to that, so that when it comes up on your phone, it just comes up as a strip. This doesn't quite work on the camera, on the computer. But yeah, then again, Leinster conceded 2 yellow cards relatively quickly in the 63rd and 67th minute, and that just opened up, the defense even more for the Stormers, and then they scored the 3 tries after that, which basically, well, it did win in the game anyway, but it just almost confirmed what we knew was going to happen. But yeah, for Leinster's sake, it was quite a strong team. We've seen weaker teams go to South Africa, Leinster-wise, and pick up a point or two, or even get a win. It's very interesting to see. Like, maybe they need their Irish internationals back. Maybe they need their Lions back even, because they had all their Irish internationals, the likes of Gus McCarthy,
Robbie Henshaw.
Robbie Henshaw. Well, Robbie Henshaw didn't look as great as we all know him. He sort of lost a yard in pace and like a yard or two in pace. But Kieran Frawley being 12 as well, you'd really expect that sort of Leinster team, and Tommy O'Brien, Jimmy O'Brien, and Jordan Larmour, you'd really expect it to be clicking.
It's a good team. Those are all established players.
Very good. Like, it
wasn't the C team, certainly not. It was a mixture of the A and the B. Yeah.
There's a better team than they sent to that won the game in Durban last week.
Yeah.
Last season. Another thing is that I've been incredibly impressed by the development and the maturity of Rudy Mattia, the guy who started at fly off for the Stormers.
He scored a great try.
yeah.
I was like, who's this guy? So what's kind of his backstory? Where's he come from?
He's been developed. See, since the African system, especially the Stormers, always have a young fly half that they're developing through the system, and sometimes those guys like Andre Pollard jump ship just as they mature and go to the Bulls. But there's always 1 or 2 like young fly halves, like we've got Moyo coming through the system as well.
Yeah,
so we've seen Rudy Mate develop, bulk up as well. And what's interesting is that he's been managed very maturely. I mean, he played 1 Currie Cup game in the 7-week Currie Cup regular season. Mostly Kyle Smith. Kyle? Yeah. He played most of the Currie Cup, and he's another young fly off. So the thing about Rumate is he's only played a handful of Currie Cup games. He played last season. He played the most URC games. He's 24 years old, and he was going up against Sam Pendergrass, who's got test experience. But Pendergrass, to me, looks taller, but not as maybe bulky and that type of thing. So that was an interesting aspect going into the game for me of like young promising fly-off versus young promising fly-off. And it also speaks to the different systems. Not that one is better than the other in terms of Ireland comparative to South Africa, because Rudimate is like behind a long list of other players, but he shows a lot of promise going forward.
Yeah.
I think,
Oh, go on, Adam.
sorry, to add on to that point of, I think the Curry Cup sets up the South African teams really well in terms of
You say that, but the Western Province were terrible in the Curry Cup. Didn't they finish bottom? Second bottom?
Yeah, but they played effectively the under 21 team mixed with guys who hardly ever played in the URC, and then they played a lot of like sevens guys, that type of thing. So most of the teams had they had a very disruptive preseason, that type of thing. But it might have helped in terms of like Porthen and the other young prop getting their butts handed to them by like old guys in the Pumas team and then the Griquas team and the Boland team, so that they sort of like learned those lessons and then took it forward into the URC.
Yeah, like I think Leinster only had one preseason friendly as well, and it's still sort of like getting the rust off them. But as we said, we haven't seen Leinster getting nilled since 2008. It's very odd for them. It's gonna be interesting to see how they sort of reply to it.
The thing was as well is that I watched this game and I thought that the Stormers weren't amazing. Like they
No.
had the ball a lot, but they made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, and there was no capitalization on it either. Like you had a couple of moments where you thought, like, especially with how tight the first half you would say was, for the sort of wheels to come off in the second half is not very Leinster at all. Like it was like the most un-Leinster performance I've ever seen for the second half wheels come off. Like we always say that I think it was the Northampton game last year. Sorry to bring up the Champions Cup, but Leinster can chase games. They normally try and set out to be the best team from the get-go, score the tries and then defend. They love playing without the ball, whereas Stormers use the ball, as you said, like they weren't great, but they just used it effectively in those times where the sin bin was full with two players. So at the end of the day, like they've scored 4 tries and they're top of the URC. They nilled Leinster. Is that going to be a factor in Leinster's season? We will see.
I mean, the scoreline for me doesn't tell the story of the game. The story of the game was much far closer until towards the end, and it looked as if Leinster were going to at least score 1 or 2 consolation tries. But was it? I don't think so much it was the Stormers' good defense. They had a solid defense, but I think Leinster looked a bit. I'm a bit concerned now. Are they gonna take their frustrations out on the Sharks when we play them in Ireland in 2 weeks' time? So because they'll have a few other players back as well.
Well, I think they were just put off by how hanging their kit was. But anyway, we need to move on to game number 2, which I have decided is going to be Scarlets versus Munster. So, contrary to their Irish brethren, Munster got off to a very impressive start, I thought. I'll talk about it from a Scarlets point of view in a bit, but Adam, couldn't have hoped for a better start to life under Clayton McMillan.
Oh no, yeah, I think this is a really nice Munster performance. That Clayton McMillan almost impact has been seen immediately for Munster.
Which is impressive because the Super Rugby didn't finish that long ago.
No, the Super Rugby didn't finish that long ago, and he sort of settled right into it. I think it also shows how well that the Munster team was in that game as well. They were missing Tag Byrne, which I think it was the only one that I can see anyway that they were really missing. They had Crawley on the bench.
We look at the lineups. Yeah, Crowley on the bench. I think Ahern might have been on the bench. He said he definitely played.
Ahern was on the bench. They had Gavin Coombs was on the bench as well. So like they had a pretty strong team out as well.
I thought Brian Gleeson played extremely well. Extremely well.
He played extremely. I think Craig Casey also had another a great game as well. I think we're starting to see really these guys that are going to try and like kick on to play for Ireland in terms of the sense of, well, Casey is going to try and make that 9 shirt his own, I'd say, within the next year or two. I think the Nankivell and Dan Kelly centre partnership looks really well. That Dan Kelly signing, we were speaking about it on the other pod that we have, the Interpro show, of being he's quite a big center. He's almost like I was going to say second row there, but he's like 6'4", 100 kilos, and he's really agile in that game as well. But I think as well a lot of positives to come out of it. Like I think that was the only away win possibly the only away win this game, and it's also a bonus point try. So, I think you just sort of look at these games as this is where you need to pick up points here at the start of the season. For the likes of Munster, having Jack Crowley at the start of the season is huge. I know they didn't start, I knew, but just having him to steady on
But
the
he was
shot.
there.
He was there. He was there, and he kicked the rest of the conversions once he came on. I think JJ.
Great seed at the top. He came on at half time, didn't he? He set up a try with a beautiful pass, took out about 4 players. I think it was a pretty cool move.
Very cool move. And I must say, what was it? Sam Costello setting up. What was the try that he set up? He just ran straight through.
Blair Murray's try.
Murray. Yeah, I think that a lot of plaudits have to go to Scarlets as well, because I think they've got quite a nice looking team as well.
2 great kits in this game, I will say. I'm biased, but
yeah, I would say so myself. But yeah, I think like I think Scarlets looked very well as well in this game. I think their backline's looking really, really tasty in terms of what they can produce. But I think Munster at the end of the day were just they were the better team. They had the better squad on paper as well. Ollie Jaeger had a great game as well. And also like it's nice having the likes of Jean Klein as well that are also in that starting lineup. But yeah, I think it was a very good game, and it's a good way for the new coach to start out.
yeah, I was impressed by Munster because there was so much rugby on yesterday. I was kind of watching other games and came to this partway through. And so I was seeing it, and obviously as a Scarlets fan, I was like, oh, for goodness sake, 13-0 down at half time. But I went back and watched the first half this morning. We weren't crap. Like we got to an edge on Munster 3 times, or we got through on goal, if you like, 3 times. But the ball went to ground. Like the prime example is the break, which was lovely rugby, by the way. We claimed it straight off the restart. And this ball just goes to ground with the try line beckoning. And you have to say fair play to the Munster defender for not giving up on a lost cause here. Like comes out of nowhere to scragging. That's a try 9 times out of 10. So it was 13-0 down at half time. The second half was 21-all.
Yeah.
You're kind of thinking, maybe we wouldn't have won. I do think that Munster were the better team, don't get me wrong. But I think we were ropey, but not terrible. The main kind of worry for me is that what we often get when we play Irish teams is we were manhandled up front a bit. There was a period from like 36 minutes to 38 minutes that we were on Munster's line, and we just ended up going backwards with the one-up carries. That's quite worrying. So that's something that they need to fix next time. But I'm not, as a Scarlets fan, I'm not panicking. I think I have to give credit to Munster and that didn't look like a first game of the season for Munster. That looked like a team that was clicking.
I think it's such a perfect way to start the URC. I think going to Scarlets away as a first game is quite a difficult one on paper as well to go to. Like I know Ulster have struggled in times before going to Scarlets in the first round. So, to get that sort of out of the way and to get a bonus point there is massive. And to be the only away team to win in the URC is also a great plaudits to them.
Is this a redemption of JJ Aaron? Because I mean, a lot was expected of him. I watched him play live years ago in the Under-20 World Cup. He actually won Player of the Tournament in that game.
God, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. I'm old.
JJ Hanrahan's an interesting one. It's just his 3rd stint at Munster. And when you look at his former teams, he was pretty decent at Northampton, I would say. Then he went back to Munster. Then he went to Claremont in that weird sort of spell just after COVID. Then he went to the Dragons, which was also a weird one as well.
The story about the Dragons, I can't remember the exact figure, but I remember being shocked when I heard it. Like that JJ Hanrahan was apparently on stupid money at the Dragons, like international starting fly half money at the Dragons. Like they brought him in, he got injured partway into the season, and then he left. And it was just like, who signed off on that? But to be fair, I think back up to Jack Crowley at Munster is probably, I'd say that's probably him.
I would say it's arguably better than Billy Burns in that sort of sense, and that pains me to say because I do really like Billy Burns, but I think Hanrahan being a backup to somebody like Crawley is better than Billy because Billy needs to be, well, he's in Japan now, but Billy sort of was that starting fly half that wasn't touched. So JJ being back up, he's never had an Ireland cap either, which I find mad.
Just for the
Um,
Wolfhounds, I think, isn't it? Is that about it?
yeah, just for, like
Yeah.
5 games to the Wolfhounds. So yeah, which I find really interesting because he's going to be sort of like that forgotten fly half in Irish rugby folklore because he also played for Connacht as well. He played for
Mhm.
Connacht last like
Yeah.
2 seasons ago. So yeah. So it's an interesting. He's an interesting player, and he's got one of those lists of teams. You're like, oh, he played for Claremont. Like, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm not necessarily saying it's a redemption arc. I think, as Hugh put it, it's a perfect spot for him.
Mm, mm. Okay, game number 3. Ben, this is your time to shine. Zebra
Mm,
getting the season off to a winning start, 31-28 at home to Edinburgh. Zebra had a great season last season, and we thought that, maybe this season lost a few players, maybe lightning won't strike twice. But to give us your thoughts on this one. Come on, then.
uh, where to start? I think Sean Everett's on fraud watch already. I didn't see any improvement from last season. Granted, we came away with a losing bonus point and a try bonus
Two
point.
losing bonus
So you
points.
got 2 points. Yeah, so one for the try, 4 tries, and one for losing less than 7, isn't it? I think that's the only kind of silver lining to this match. I think we were all over the place. Midfield was poor, kicking was poor. Ben Healy didn't really take his opportunity at 10 with Ross Thompson and Cammy Scott both being injured. But to be honest, our starting centres are out. Matt Curry's got vertigo of all things. I don't know how that's happened. It's an injury, strange injury to see up on the absentee list. Moses Tupelo was out. It just was bang average, below average, sort of in spits and spurts. And I think the galling fact of this is that for 30 minutes we were playing against 14 men and didn't capitalise on it. There was a initial yellow card that was then upgraded to a 20-minute red card, the first 20-minute red card in the URC, I think it probably was. I think that's open to some question about the merits of it. It was a high shot, and ordinarily it would have been a red, and then Zebre would have been down to 14 for 65 minutes. But because it's not deemed so serious or significant foul play, it goes for a 20-minute red. Don't really agree with that. I think if it's a red, it's a red. I don't really think this halfway house is sensible. Kind of encourages more sort of infringements like that than it does try to deter them, I think. It just was really difficult to watch. Zebre, to be fair to them, scored some good tries, but it was weak defence. I think it was the second try, sort of midway second. I'll start the 15, 20 minutes and just walked through, and it just looked ponderous. Ben Belloc was looking around going, where's the left guard off the maul that came in off the line out? Just seemed to be non-existent. He just ran through a gap. And this is professional rugby. And I can compare it with the game of rugby I played today. Fair enough, you'll have gaps on an amateur game, but the gap there was just it was incredibly wide, so wide that you get a lorry through there, and it just didn't make sense. So I am concerned already. It's another game that we've lost to Zebra. We seem to have an awful record
Oh
against
my
them.
God.
Apart from
Yeah.
this is it here. This is terrible. It's really poor. The wingers just run through off a little blindside pass. It's not. It's just one pass off the base of the maul. It's so poor. That's it, straight through. Granted, it's a switch pass, but you've got to cover that left guard. It's professional rugby. You've got to spot that, and you've got to see the left winger coming in off the inside of the maul to pick up that reverse pass. The penalty we gave away to Zebre to kick the winning points. And to be fair to that lad, that was his first ever game for Zebre. That's a pressure kick, 79th minute, and he's nailed it. It went in off the post, but again, it's one of those where the kind of luck fell on Zebre's side this weekend. But again, I do have my concerns about Edinburgh this season, particularly away from home. We don't travel well. And that's a game we really should be looking to win if we really want to be considered top 8.
Edinburgh have always been terrible away from home. I say always. Last couple of seasons, it's like
it's dropped
weird.
off. Yeah, the home form against the away form is poor. I think last year the only 2 away wins, I think, was Connacht, and there might have been one other somewhere, but I can't remember exactly where it was. I'm racking my brains. I think it might have only been Connacht. I can't remember. Did we have 8-1-9 as the season last year? So if it was, we'd had 7 home wins and 1 away win potentially. Because I know we lost at home to the Sharks. I don't remember losing, and Leinster. Or maybe there's another away win somewhere. In any event, it wasn't good enough. And my concern is, where's Sean Everett's management? Because this is his 3rd season. we were lucky to get into top 8 last year. I think it was just the fact that we generated so many more bonus points than we did the year before. But it just seems ponderous and we've plateaued. And preseason wasn't great. I don't think we really kind of got out of the blocks on that. And I think it just looked tired yesterday, as though they weren't ready to go. So I do have my concerns about the motivation and the fitness levels. It just didn't seem to be there yesterday. Duhan van der Merwe came on 50th minute. I think I saw him have the ball in his hand twice. Didn't go anywhere with it.
If you're taking Duhan van der Merwe to Italy, start him.
It was odd. And Hamish Watson was on the bench as well, I think, off the top of my head. It was strange. I think he was, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a couple of players that were on the bench. I was like, well, why aren't they starting? And Duhan would be there to start, because the young lad who was making his debut, I don't think I saw him with ball in hand often. I'm just thinking, do you blood a debutant away from home against Zebre, who seemed to have had the upper hand over us the last 2 or 3 seasons? Probably not.
I don't think you need to do that.
There were some
wingers,
strange
though.
decisions.
With wingers, just leave them on. It's not just bizarre to have to go to the trouble of taking him away from home, but then having him on the bench.
Yeah, but Zebre played well, but we let them play well. I think it was probably 50-50 that way. Zebre did open up, some gaps. They did pass better. The number 7 who was on, can't remember his name. He was outstanding yesterday. He seemed to be. I mean, the hair makes you easier to catch him on this pitch. He's like Carlos Valderrama hair, big old perm. Everyone remembers the Colombian player from back in the day. But he was literally everywhere. He was jackling. He was, counter-rucking. He was punching holes. He paid the pass for that second try, and he was outstanding. The open side flanker was the player of the game for me. DeRay kicked well. I guess as Zebre, I just thought with them losing their players over something they did, like Fischetti going, I thought maybe there'd be an opportunity for us there to kind of dominate the scrum, but we gave away a scrum penalty at the end for them to kick the winning 3 points. But it's disappointing, because I think our opening 4 or 5 fixtures on paper are not too difficult, and that's, I think, where we could get quite a lot of points. So it's a poor start.
Yeah. You can say that again. Anyway, if people are enjoying the show so far, please remember to subscribe to the channel. We are now past 700 subscribers since last show, so thank you everybody for jumping on board. I would like to say that 750 is the next goal, because that's kind of nice and like a milestone, isn't it? But no, we're going for 800. So 800 subscribers is where we want to be next time we speak to you. We'd love it if you were along for the ride. On this channel, you'll be able to find not only this URC show, but you'll be able to find specialized Irish podcast, Into the Pro Show, hosted by Adam. You'll be able to find specialized South African podcast hosted by Mohammed every single week. These coming to you at some points in the season. You will also find a specialized USA podcast, the only of its kind anywhere on YouTube. And whilst the Women's World Cup has been on, the flagship show on this channel has been the Women's Rugby Treehouse, which has done incredible numbers. We've just had a historic final played in Twickenham. So if you want to be educated on women's rugby, that is the place to go. Cheers. All right, next game. I'm going Bulls versus Ospreys. A fundamentally unserious game. 53 points to 40. Absolute tri-fest. Absolutely ridiculous scoreline. The Bulls fell behind early on. No, Mohammed, you didn't catch all of this one, but what is it, a kind of a take the win and never speak of it again type scenario with the Bulls of this one, do you think?
It's an exciting start to Johan Ackermann's tenure at the Bulls in Pretoria. Kind of what I expected, because maybe the defensive structures aren't there yet, and Ackermann's teams aren't necessarily known for their defensive structures. It's more go for the win. The people at Loftus, at least this season, going to enjoy running rugby and exciting rugby. Interesting squad selection as well. Ackermann sort of alluded to that going into the game earlier in the week. It
was a much stronger squad than I was expecting, to be honest. I was expecting it to be the Curry Cup team, but actually there was a fair number of established URC players and a couple of internationals.
Yeah, I mean, they mixed things up a little, because JJ Theron played lock in the Under-20 World Cup, which we recently won. But he started at 8th. I've never seen that before. He played a bit of blindside flank in the Curry Cup as well. So he doesn't. People tell me, oh, he doesn't look as big now in the Currie Cup and in the URC comparative to when he was playing in the Under-20 World Cup. And that's because everybody in that World Cup is relatively the same size. Once you graduate to senior rugby, people are generally slightly bigger. So, I mean, going with Keegan Johannes at fly off. I don't know where Goosen is. Obviously, Pollard is with the Springboks. Keegan Johannes and Imros Papier, so that's an exciting combination. Jan Serfontein making his return. I mean, choosing Cheslin Jooster, another Under-20 World Cup winner, to start on the wing immediately, that shows a lot of where Ackerman's head is. So yeah, I think the Bulls are stoked. I don't think they at all panicked when Ospreys scored early and that type of thing. They just play their game. So yeah, this is very
you always felt that the Bulls were going to come back into it. Even when the Ospreys were like 26-12 up or whatever it was, you were kind of like, okay, yeah, but we know what's going to happen. This is a great try. To be fair, some of the attack looked very good. Look at the wheels on this guy. That's absolutely unreal.
Yeah, it was burning.
And he did train with the Springboks, him and two other of his fellow cohorts from that Under-20 World Cup, Batabede Klakani and the Lions scrum off, Ashim Pete. They trained for a whole week and a half for the Springboks because they've been identified as sort of players to watch going forward. So yeah, Cheslin Jooster definitely.
Just thinking of the technique on that try, to keep your same pace while changing direction 2 or 3 times is an incredibly hard thing to do. That is an outstanding try because you should, normally drop your pace when you change direction, but he hasn't, and I think excellent try. Yeah.
I never felt that the Bulls were going to have any trouble getting back in front. One guy that did impress me, he came on off the bench quite early, was Nicholas Jans van Rensburg. I thought that in broken play, he looked very assured for a lock, who normally kind of like would look out of sorts when play opened up in front of him. He always did the right thing, showed some pace, showed good ball handling skills. I'm looking forward to seeing more of him this season.
Yeah, he came over back to the Bulls like Serfontein from that French team. I forget exactly which French team it was. And Janssen van Rensburg, when there was a lock crisis of injuries in the Bok team last season, Rassie Erasmus did bring him into the broader squad, but he didn't play any. I think it was whoever. Anyway, it wasn't Bordeaux, but him and Serfontein were the same team.
Montpellier.
Yeah, I think that correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. From an Ospreys point of view, I mean, they can say that they've scored 40 points at Loftus. I mean, when one team had the ball, neither team seemed to be able to stop them from scoring. I guess the Bulls just had the ball more, able to exert that scrum dominance. I think what's positive for the Ospreys is that in the past, certainly if you go back this time last year, on attack, they really didn't look sure of themselves. They didn't really know what it was that they wanted to do when they had the ball and they were in broken play. I think like the thing that sticks with me is when they played against the Bulls in Swansea, at one point, the Bulls had 2 men in the sin bin plus a player down injured. So they were playing against 12 and they weren't able to generate a line break. Whereas now, in this game, I thought they looked very sure of themselves and backed themselves, which they haven't always. So I think that's progress for them. But obviously, you've conceded 53 as well, so it can't have been that good. So I think as an Ospreys fan, you would take the positives from this and, say that if you're getting a bonus point away at the Bulls, it's a decent result. Excuse me, and you've scored 40. But I don't know. And I just think it was a bit of a daft game all around, to be honest.
It was like a Prem game. That's what it was like.
Yeah, it was.
Well, there was a Prem player.
Defense optional.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of the Prem, someone who made his debut in the Prem today was Will Jordan.
Tom
Jordan.
Oh, we got to get your fanboy right there.
Yeah, Tom Jordan, and he did indeed, as predicted, look like a god. I'm told. I don't watch that, but his former team, Glasgow, also managed to get off to a winning start, bonus point win at home against the Sharks. What did you make of this one?
I thought it was a really good game. I thought it was pretty even. I think the Sharks probably feel a little bit hard done by. I think they probably just took. I think it was probably the fitness the last 10, 15 minutes that cost them because Glasgow turned the screw there. But Edward van der Merwe on debut Mir Mohammed.
For the Sharks, yeah.
He looked really good because he just left the Lions over the summer, didn't he, to move to Durban. Lucanyan played well. I know Am's sort of had his detractors recently. I think he's kind of not really seen as a Springbok anymore. But I think the best debut of the weekend, probably Dan Lancaster. I think he was outstanding. I think he was so assured.
There you go. That's interesting because he was not well thought of when he was playing for his dad in Racing.
Yeah, very assured performance. I think, granted, he had to come off early for a head knock. I think he took a nasty cut to the chin, maybe a stray, stood off a boot or something like that. But I think he played 60, at least 70 minutes. Looked very, very good. Just very good ball in hand, kicking for territory. Fantastic performance, I thought. And, he's Scottish qualified. So I think the fact we have depth of 10 now is a good thing. I don't think Adam Hastings is international standard. So it'd be interesting if Dan Lancaster can kind of become that sort of second or third 10 with Scotland. Yeah, I love Scotstoun on a Friday night. There's something about that stadium that just has a really good atmosphere on a Friday evening. I think they tend to want their games to be on a Friday night there. It's kind of a bit of a thing in Glasgow. But yeah, I think they could be really impressed with that performance. I think a bonus point win is a good start for them. Johnny Matthews, again, just solid as a rock from the centre of the front row. Rory Darge again played really, really well. He was man of the match deservedly so. Came off a little bit late. Looked like he might have had a little bit of trouble with his knee because that was obviously a really bad injury sustained about 2.5 years ago and missed, I think, entirely the 22-23 season off the top of my head. But yeah, it was a good game. I thought it was pretty. I think both teams went for it. They're both quite attacking. Edward van der Merwe and Briere. That was a really good dab down to be able to have that sort of kind of thought in your head when you're going through contact. There was 2 or 3 of them over, and you managed to sort of just turn into the only lot of space there was between the 2 or 3 defenders there. But yeah, good start for Glasgow. And it's just the Franco Smith effect. He just gets a team clicking from minute 1 of the season, and an impressive one.
Mohammed, what was your take on it as a Sharks fan?
The horrors persist, but so do I. It was not a fun game for me to watch, Ben. Yeah, I figured we were going to lose, and then watching it was still frustrating to watch because, I mean, certain aspects like going into contact and going into the ruck and having the ball turned over so many times, either we knock it on in the ruck or we knock it on in the tackle or we get isolated even if there's a cleaner. So yeah, missing 28 players in total, 9 to the broader Springbok squad and another 18 to 19 due to injury. Some of those players really could have made an impact. Some of those are more rotational players, that type of thing. Yeah, well, on the positive, Ross Brody looked really, really good. Canadian international. So sorry about the Canadian women losing today in the Women's World Cup final. Born in South Africa though, came through the Bull system.
Was he in the DTH Van der Merwe school? Is that what's happened there?
Yeah,
the best
exactly.
Van der Merwe.
Yeah. So I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
certainly
so
has more honours to his name.
Yeah, he's got a lot of MLS games, sort of games in America. Played well for the Pumas this season in the Currie Cup, even though they didn't make the playoffs. So he was a bright spark, except for the point where he took a quick tap and then the ball got turned over again when we could have really just kicked that pin to try. It's never a guarantee of 3 points, but considering the conditions on the day, it was a highly more likely 3 points. So we definitely missed Jordan Hendricks and Siama Suku, our general normal fly off. So Jordan Hendricks deputized there. He played better than what he has and sort of scrum off of late. Yeah, Lucania might have scored a try, but he didn't look that great in the general play. Unfortunately, Jao Penke and center Francois Venter, they're just not up to it. And I can't believe a year ago we paid the Lions to get Ruan Dreyer out of his contract, and he's sort of a walking penalty. So yeah, I didn't think we were going to win this game. I'm more targeting the next game to hopefully get some points, but obviously seriously disappointed that we didn't at least walk away with at least 1 losing bonus point for like 4 tries or within 7 or something. Ideally 2. If we've gotten 2, I would have been stoked, but yeah, it is unfortunate.
It's just become a narrative now, hasn't it? Sharks on their northern tours, not great.
Yeah. We had a better tour last season in the second, because we always have an early tour and a later tour. And last year, we actually weren't supposed to start on the tour against Connacht away in Galway, because it was supposed to be the first game, all South African teams. But the Currie Cup final sort of clashed with that, and now this is the second year in a row we're starting on a tour, and I wish we had started at home with more fit and ready players against Ospreys. No offense, Ospreys.
Ospreys fans are always offended. So before we talk about the final 3 games, if people are still watching, still listening, you clearly like it. So maybe not only subscribe, but also maybe tell a friend, especially about the audio version. We're always trying to grow the audio platforms. If you're watching on YouTube and you think this is great, it's a bit long though, you can listen to it as a podcast. You just search URC Rewind on Spotify. It will come up. You will be able to find us there. It should have all the same thumbnails and stuff as you'll see it on YouTube. So hopefully quite findable, or just tweet us at URC Podcast, which, by the way, there is another one now, but we're not acknowledging it. Search at URC Podcast on Twitter. You should be able to find us there. Right, Adam, you've waited long enough. Let's talk about Ulster.
Yeah. Really, really shaky start. I put in a meme of the caption of Michael Scott saying, "I'm ready to be hurt again." And with honest, in about 5 seconds of that,
11 seconds, I think it was. Less? I think it was less than 10.
Less. It was like 3 seconds, and I just went, "Oh well, you know."
Is that the quickest strike ever in the URC?
It must be. I think it must be for a season opener as well. I was just like, well, you know, last season we need to forget about last season within the first minute. I was just like, great. I think it was really.
Aha! Yes, I found it. Okay.
It was like a really poor kickoff, like any type of. Well, it's a really good.
It was after you, Cyril, kind of situation, wasn't it? They both kind of looked at it and went, "Oh yeah, oh it's bounced." Yeah, no, that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was really well taken by Rainwhite. It was really well taken. I thought Dragons played really well in the first like half. I thought they played really well. I think Tinnis de Beer, he used to play for Cardiff, didn't he?
Yeah.
The last couple of seasons, Sheedy kind of shoved him out there, didn't he?
Well, I think Cardiff will live to regret that. I rate Tinnis. I think at URC level, I'm not saying he's going to go on and conquer the world, but I think he's a JJ Hanrahan. I would say
he's a very good URC level player, I was thinking. But after that, I think Ulster we just opened up completely. I think we played really nice attacking rugby. I was looking at the offloading stats. I think we made 19 offloads. It just looked like every time we had the ball, we were trying to avoid rucks because we were just trying to keep it alive. 18 offloads, there we go. 560 meters gained compared to the other 184. I could see that in the game.
16 clean breaks. Wow.
Yeah, Cormac Izuchukwu, Michael Laurie, Zach Ward, they were all incredible. I thought Mike Laurie as well. The technicality of his agility as well was absolutely incredible. I think I think he set up 2 tries. He set up McCann's try and he set up Zach Ward's try, and both of them had a wee flick out the back. And Michael Laurie is not tall at all. He's a bit like myself, but he could still get his arm around and still flick out that pass. I think it was quite a strong team we put out. I think it was one of the strongest teams we had to start URC in a while. And the fact that we've sort of got, I think it's like we had 15% of players are injured or something. The Ulster Independent put it on our injury setup. They were like, "Oh, we have 15% of players injured." So I was like, "Great, okay, doesn't sound as bad." But I think we had a really good, just a really good game in general. I think O'Toole played really well. I think he looked like he looked like he looked like he's completely bulked up. This is the Michael Laurie thing I was talking.
I thought Michael Laurie played extremely well.
I think as well. It's coming up to November internationals. Hugo Keenan's out injured. This is when Michael Laurie needs to.
There must be a Y in the day.
Yeah, it must, like, it has to be, you know. This is one of those ones that he has to take with 2 hands and really run with. I also think as well, another player to point out was Nathan Doak. I think personally, this is that weird caption again. But I think Nathan Doak played really well. I think almost having that pressure taken off him of John Cooney breathing down the back of his neck really made him to.
Is it true that people were chanting Cooney, Cooney at him though?
I don't think so. I didn't hear it on the TV. Because didn't the commentator point that out? It was like Captain Cooney, and I was like, they're not. I think it was Stephen Ferris that might have said that, but he's a bit of a wind-up merchant in himself when it comes to
Stephen Ferris is the worst.
Yeah, he's a bit of
Yeah.
a wind-up man.
Stick him in with the American fans at the Ryder Cup, and he'll be in good company.
Yeah, well, yeah, he is sort of seen as that now. But yeah, I thought our attack did pretty well. Mark Sexton, they kept on showing Mark Sexton on the screen, going like, "Look at our new shiny backs coach." And they kept on mentioning as well about how our coaching setup now is the same as the under 20s when Richie was in charge. So, I think it was really good. I think there's a couple of things that we need to look at, defense being one of them. Um, I don't think our defense. I think our defense could have been really chopped up by a really good team. Like, I'm thinking like Connacht. We're gonna get onto them, but like a Connacht who are really good in attack can chop up our defense quite easily. I think we got away with quite a lot of missing tackles and just basic defensive setups. But no, I think the attack was the most positive I've seen Ulster play in a good couple of years. And Cormac is
Your back line's not changed too much, has it? Like the six of the back seven were regulars, aren't they? McCloskey, Hume,
Humes.
Doak, yeah,
Yeah.
Murphy's in there. Yeah,
Do you know
because
what?
they've been missing a lot, haven't they? Those two. I haven't seen them on the team sheet as much as you'd expect them to be the last couple of seasons.
Oh yeah, McCluskey and Hume have been injured quite a bit. And Hume as well, you wouldn't expect him to be like out with like an ACL. Like he was in glittering form as well. There was no sort of thrust lost. I think what was really interesting as well was Zach Ward, that back three of Zach Ward, Jacob Stockdale, Mike Lowry. Talk about two power wingers and like an absolute wizard at 15. I think
Nimble 15, and he
You got some,
nimble,
you got some big backs, Adam.
that's a
Like
very
at Ulster, like when they were stood opposite their dragons, opposite numbers, you're like, ooh, bit of a disparity there.
Yeah, I think that's something that we're going to have to use as one of our strengths this season is that we do have. I think Ferris also mentioned that on commentary about how big our backs were. Zach Ward played back row at the start of his sort of academy career, and then he went to sevens because he was rapid. So, we've got a former back row playing 14 for us. Also to mention about how our back row was immense, and I think Cormac Izuchukwu should stay at 6, and Harry Sheridan is making that 5 shirt his own. Yeah, I think it was a really positive start for the season. I think there's a lot to build on, and there's a lot there's some to improve, like a lot to improve on as well in that way. But I think for a start of the season, after last season, I think it's a perfect start, bar the
What
first minute try.
what impact did your big money signing in Trokis Augustus make off the bench?
I think he came on and he played he made a couple of crunching tackles. He rucked very well. I don't think he made necessarily as many carries as he would have liked coming off the bench, but I think that sort of the forward unit in general all played really well. I think Tom Stewart coming on as well and scoring a try also helps, and having him fit for a season to sort of push Rob Herring back in like to the bench, because Rob Herring's 35 now. So, he's not getting any younger. It's sort of that time for Tom Stewart to go on. But yeah, back onto Augustus, I think he's gonna be very good for us. He's a big unit of a player. He could probably be play 13 for us at the minute with the size of some of our players in the back.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. From a Dragons point of view, I did think that there were signs of improvement. It's very classic kind of the team sheet comes out and you go, ooh, that's a decent team actually. There's a few decent players in there, and then they play and you go, oh. But I think in the first half, I think in attack they all appeared to be on the same page. I think they all knew what the plan was. They all knew what the next move was. I think both teams overcomplicated it at times in attack. Like it's becoming one of my pet peeves in rugby is the little tip on just before contact. Like just before contact passing it to the bloke next to you, which was really advanced when the 2015 All Blacks did it. But now it's just like you might as well just keep hold of the ball and just carry it yourself because it doesn't seem to achieve anything. The thing with the Dragons though, I thought that some of their defense was very passive to the point of being performative almost in the case of some players, which is a bit horrible to say, but I won't name names, but I thought there was some players who kind of like stood in the right place and kind of was like touch, in the tackle, but then didn't actually stop the bloke from running at all. So I think, you got to want to defend, and they've got a new defense coach in, so I don't think he'll be happy at all with some of the effort that some of the backs in particular showed. The only one guy who I will name, Rio Dyer, I feel like he's playing within himself at the moment. This was a guy who had the ability, which is really rare, is to really affect games from the wing, to really get his hands on the ball and do impactful things and game-changing moments from the wing. Whereas now, I was watching him for a bit, just like focusing on him, and I was like, I just don't feel like you're your best self at the moment on the rugby field. I don't know what's going on, but he seems to have gone within his shell.
Yeah, I thought the other winger was really good though, Jared
Yeah,
Ross.
Jared Rosser. Yeah, underrated. I think Jared Rosser would do a job for any team. He's deceptively quick. He's so aerodynamic. See.
Yeah, when he scored his try, it was one of those where I just was like, whoa. Like he put on the afterburners and I was just like, right, okay.
Yeah, the the chip, the kind of dink through by Angus O'Brien. I thought that was a great try.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I agree with you on the emphasis of overplaying it. I think there was a couple of times where Jacob Stockdale passed the ball and it went over a head, or there was a pass like,
I
instead of
think
running.
Big Stu passed it into touch twice.
Yeah, yeah, and that's something that we need to sort of clean up immediately. But I think the fact that Mark Sexton's letting us almost play with so much freedom, and I think they really looked like they were enjoying their rugby that they were playing with all the offloads that were coming in. I think Cormac Azuchuku at 6 really works for that style of rugby as well in the attack. And Harry Sheridan being as well being like really bullish in the attack and defense. But I think it was really good, but it's that overplaying it. I agree. We need to sort of get that out of our system.
Mm, mm, for sure, for sure. 2 games left. So Cardiff versus Lions is the next one that we're going to talk about. I didn't catch tons of this one. Obviously, Cardiff got the win. They'll be delighted to get their season off to a winning start, especially being the only Welsh team to pick up a win this weekend will please them very much as well. Obviously, the kind of disruption that they had with Matt Sherratt leaving last minute, I think the players had, yeah, there was reasons there for it to not be so great, but one way or another they made it work, and they're obviously the Lions are not the top caliber of opposition, but I don't know, Mohammed, you've caught bits of this. What was your impressions of the game?
Cardiff were good value for the win. Getting the 20-minute red card brought the Lions back into the game. Rowan Delport started for the Lions after he basically lost them the Currie Cup a week prior, just slapping the ball down. Lions didn't have such a bad game or bad team either. Lulabella Dobella stepped up at fly off, considering that Chris Smith and Kate Vollett is injured and Joe Lombard's injured. So he actually looked pretty solid. I mean, Rowan Fint is a high quality blindside flank, and he started. Um, Interestingly enough, Mashimpede, the highly promising scrum half, didn't play at all, didn't come off the bench at all. That means that Steyn played the whole game, which is weird because that same thing happened a week ago in the Currie Cup final. Renzo Duplessis came on, did his usual thing, sort of carry the ball, that type of thing, but didn't make as much impact. I think the Lions could have actually won this game. I was a bit disappointed in Henko Venter. Van Wyk. I keep saying Venter. Last season I also said Venter, and someone got at me in the comments. It's difficult to keep track of all the Henkos. So yeah, Lions. Did they get a losing bonus point? I'm not entirely sure. They didn't lose within 7, but
No, and they only scored 2
yeah.
tries.
Yeah. So going on with
Is
nothing,
this what the highlight is? Why have the URC clipped this up? It's just a front ball at the line out. Bizarre. Très bizarre.
yeah, and to sort of touch on what we spoke about earlier, Tinus De Beer is like he's no Yanni De Beer, but he's pretty good. I know he's not playing in this game, but I thought I'd mention it.
Yeah. Good to see Cam win it on the score sheet as well. Obviously lost his place in the Wales squad, which I kind of think with the way that Blair Murray's playing at the moment is fair enough. We'll see if he gets back in for the autumn, obviously with a new coach coming in. But like I said, it's just morale boosting for Cardiff to get the first win for a Welsh region. I think Lions at home is one that you'd like to target to win. But just to be able to deliver it, they started well as well, Cardiff, last season as well. So strong starts being a kind of a theme for them is encouraging. All right, and last game, Connacht versus Benetton. Oh dear, Benetton. Everyone always talks about Benetton's kind of budget and things, and how they should be doing better. You'd like to think that if for our expectations of what Benetton could be, Connacht away should be a win. But Adam, Connacht,
Yeah.
you have to always credit the winners, I guess.
Yeah, it's a great start for Lancaster's men now, which is weird to say, but I think it was a really good, classy Connacht performance. And as you said, the Treviso team had their Italian internationals. They had like Menoncello compared to Connacht, who didn't have Bundyaki, Matt Hansen or Beelum. I think Connacht played really well. I need to like I'll point out a player that I thought was quite good as well at the start. With Josh Iwone, I think it was his best game for Connacht so far. I think he sort of made that sort of half breaks, and he made a couple of breaks in general just to set up some tries. But yeah, this is a very good start for Lancaster and his sort of performance, and that aspect of that he's trying to build up Connacht again to be this force in the URC, and it's a good way to do it against Treviso. I think I had it down as a 10-point win, but yeah, Connacht with a bonus point as well. You know, it's just that's going to be vital for them in terms of like we talk a lot about at the start of the season where to pick up points, and I think this is a crucial bit of picking up points. I know it's the start of the season, but rather than Treviso winning it in the Dexcom, I nearly called it the old place, at the Dexcom, looking back on it, you'd say that it's just a brilliant try, 60-second. But yeah, Connacht played really well. I think there was like it's the same with every team. It's like that sort of rust that came through from preseason. Is that Menoncello? Yeah,
Yeah.
Menoncello's going through a couple of players. Um, but at the end of the day, they got it done. They got the 4 tries. They got the bonus point. Yeah, I think it's a very interesting one for Treviso to look at the start of the season as well.
Yeah, yeah. It's just I'm not. I don't want to sound like I'm sad that Connacht won. I'm not. It's just that the constant kind of disappointment with Benetton. Just when is it gonna click for them? I know they lost players. I know they've had a change of coach, but
Rex has gone off to France, hasn't he? I think it's a big loss.
playing for
That's a big loss.
Toulon he might
Yeah,
be playing for Toulon now. Um,
as long as the rain stopped after last weekend. Yeah.
yeah, Albanoz is as well rumored to be going to Toulon as well, so they'll lose him, which is a big blow. But anyway, congratulations, Connacht. Right, predictions for next week. Let's do this relatively rapid fire, lads. So round 2, Stormers versus Ospreys. Mohammed, what you got?
I got Stormers, and did anybody notice that the highlights of all the first round fixtures, Stormers game got nearly 200,000.
Ooh.
So that's interesting.
Well, there you have it. Stormers, big team, see? That's why they're in the thumbnail.
Yeah.
I agree that the Stormers will probably beat the Ospreys, although the Ospreys will be encouraged by scoring 40 against the Bulls. And the thing about the Ospreys is that they always capitalize on opponents' mistakes, and the Stormers make a lot of mistakes. Last time I think Ospreys played in Cape Town, they won. So I think it could be tight, but I'm just going Stormers. Edinburgh versus Ulster. Ooh, Interpod Derby. Ben, you're at home. You can go first.
Yeah, we'll win.
Okay, Adam.
We have to win.
I think we could win by 3 here. I think this is one of the ones that we have to point out. At the start of the season, it's like we can try and pick up points here. I think our squad is like I think everyone's relatively fit. All we need is sort of like Angus Bell and Rob Balakin to come back at the end of the season. But our time has to be now to get these away wins. And last season we only had, I think it was 2 away wins as well. So we need to like try and get this. Like I think Ulster by 3.
Dragons versus Sharks. So the Dragons, I think, should have beaten the Sharks at Rodney Parade last season. Dragons' first home game of the season. Mohammed, what you kind of hoping for going into this one?
My heart says Sharks by a very small margin. My brain says who knows. We've got the C team out there because of all the injuries and stuff and the Springbok selection stuff. So we'll only have maybe Makazolam and Pimpy back for the Leinster game a week later, which we'll still probably lose. So we're gonna go for this one, and hopefully we can actually execute it. Is this the home stadium, the Dragons? Is it on a artificial pitch or a normal grass?
It's
Normal grass
artificial.
pitch.
Is it normal now?
Yeah, because it's what the football team play on, and they're not allowed to play on.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, Newport County.
Okay,
Yeah, you're
so
right.
that gives us a bit more of an opportunity because South African teams are still struggling to adapt to the 4G pitches in the Northern Hemisphere.
Okay, I'm going to go Dragons by 3. I think they're going to sneak it right at the depth. Connacht versus Scarlets. Okay, these are two teams that people think of as being roughly the same level. It's a tough game as a Scarlets fan to go away to, although I do think sometimes people over-egg how tough Connacht away is. Adam, will they be hoping to go back-to-back to start the season?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Connacht by 10 again. I think that I think they're gonna try and go back to back. They're gonna try and make Dex come. I know that they've got the new stand that isn't quite open yet. I'm not sure when it is open, but I think they're gonna try and make it into like a fortress. I think they only had 5,000 people at the attendance of the game the other week, but it sounded really loud and it's quite a hostile environment to go to.
Okay, I'm going Scarlets by 2 because I always do. And have a great trip to all of the Scarlets fans who are heading over. Benetton versus Glasgow, Ben.
I'd expect
away
Glasgow
trip.
to win that game. Yeah, I think Glasgow have got the strength there in depth now. I think they've sorted that 10 position. I know TJ's gone, but I think they've got Stafford McDowell now who played well on Friday. I think they've got the depth there. Carl Rowe has played very well. Ollie Smith's back in now. Yeah, I think Glasgow will win that comfortably by 14 at least.
And then we've got a replay of last year's final. Replay of next year's final. A replay of last year's final. Bulls hosting Leinster. Leinster will be hurting. Bulls will be glancing nervously at their defence. Mohammed, how do you see this one going?
Yeah, this is the replay of the final, but it's at a different venue. So I think the Bulls are going to win this one. Not by a lot. They're going to have to clean up their defense because I think Leinster will be a bit more focused and maybe play a bit more conservative, more accurate rugby. Definitely the coaches are going to be on them for last week. So yeah, I'm still picking the Bulls, but they've got a lot to work on as well as Leinster. They're going to have to basically adjust to the backlash from Leinster. I hope that the Bulls really put the screw in on Leinster so that a bunch of the Leinster players fly back over to Ireland and are too knackered to play the Sharks.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Munster. Oh, sorry, Adam. Do you have a view on how Leinster are going to get on?
I think Leinster by 3. I expect them to see a reply. I don't think they're going to take getting nilled lightly. So I'm going to say Leinster by 3.
Ooh,
I just don't want to repeat of last season's final. The Bulls were just didn't show up, did they, in the final? So yeah,
I'm going to go.
Win.
All I'm going to say is I think this is the game of the round.
Yeah.
Munster versus Cardiff to close off Saturday. Again, a bit like Connacht, Adam, Munster will be looking at this as a great opportunity to go 2 from 2.
Oh yeah, I think Munster at Thomond Park. I think could probably be 20 points they win this by. That's what my projection would be for this one.
It'd take an almighty effort from Cardiff. I think Cardiff maybe 4 try bonus point. I think is something that they could achieve, but I think the win. I just think Munster are a cut above. I'm really impressed by them. And then we have a Sunday game. Zebra versus the Lions. Cardiff and then over to Palmer as well. Lions going all over the place. Again, kind of, you wouldn't normally say this, but Mohammed, an opportunity for Zebra to go back to back to start the season.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight game. Both teams really throw the ball around, so it's very much a pick 'em. I obviously hope the South African team win, but I'm interested to see how they also make adjustments after a very poor start to their tour.
I'm going to go Zebra by 3 again. Why not?
I'm going to say Zebra by 3. Yeah.
I'd also say Zebra by 3.
Oh, there you go. Almost unanimous. Right, that brings us to the end of the pod. I hope everybody has enjoyed it. If you have gotten to the end and you're not subscribed, clearly you like it, so just subscribe, will you? Massively appreciate it. Massively appreciate to all the lads on the call, Adam, Ben, and Mohammed. Thanks very much, gents.
Good evening. Cheers.
I hope everybody enjoys their rugby, and I hope everybody's team wins. Cheers.
That was the United Rugby Rewind. Please rate, review and share us on socials if you can, and join us next week for more of the same. And until then, enjoy your rugby.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.